temporal causality. We think we're stuck in a specific fragment in time, but we've been repeating that same fragment over and over.
I just want a second look.
There's something about this one, isn't there? It's familiar somehow.
Romeo is correct. Events do appear to be repeating themselves.
Let me quote Leviticus 10.
We saw this.
Hello, welcome to You've Seen It Before, TV Reviews Connection in Mind. Daredevil Born Again is a new series on Disney Plus, while also serving as a continuation of the Netflix Daredevil series, because it brings back once again Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, as well as Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin, as well as some other characters from the Netflix series, while also bringing in some new characters as well. And has Dario Scartapane as showrunner. And in this series, we see Matt Murdock once again coming to grips with the responsibility and the struggle of being Daredevil while also being a lawyer in Manhattan, while at the same time struggling to reconcile that Wilson Fisk has inexplicably won the election to become New York's mayor, and we see that he's not exactly on the up and up. Now, this video review will contain spoilers of Daredevil Born Again, as well as other things. I'll be doing my spoiler-free thoughts first and foremost, though, but just so you know, there will be some spoilers later on in this review, so first things first, let's get into some spoiler-free thoughts on Daredevil Born Again. Is this a worthy continuation of the Netflix series? Is this a good Disney Plus Marvel series as a whole? I would say this is a fine first attempt for Disney Plus. And what I mean by that is, if you were unfamiliar with, or you weren't following the stories of Daredevil Born Again throughout this, going into this, there was the fan cast. We've already had the fan casting of Charlie Cox coming back as Daredevil in Spider-Man No Way Home. We also had Wilson Fisk come back in the Hawkeye series and Echo on Disney Plus. So we had these characters come back. It was only a matter of time before this continuation of the Netflix Daredevil scene, seemingly bringing these shows back into the fold of the MCU. And there was a lot of turmoil behind the scenes for this. It was reported that there were different showrunners were working on a different concept, and it seems like there wasn't something wasn't right on the front. So there was a bold decision made to basically, all right, we're going to bring in new showrunners. We're going to pretty much scrap what was going on. We're going to basically start from page one almost, and create a new vision and rework what we have into this new Daredevil series. And from that standpoint, I would say this is an admirable salvage job, but the seams are fairly evident. And what I mean by that is the Netflix, you could tell that, especially in the middle of this 9-episode season, you can probably see the original elements of this Daredevil series, what it was going to be, where it was more of a some of the week kind of series, where Matt would find himself in basically a new situation every week or every other week. They would have like 2 or 3 mini arcs between this. You'll have one where you're dealing with vigilantes primarily, and then you have another where Matt's facing more and more with Fisk more head on. There's another where we're bringing back John Bernthal's Punisher into the mix. So it's kind of all over the place, and you don't really get a sense of continuity for it. I mean, there was some, obviously, but there could be better. Whereas with the reshoots or whatever, it seemed like there was an attempt to darken it up. Because the Netflix Daredevil series had the reputation of being a dark and gritty, bloody series, and they, it feels like they were almost a little try-hard with trying to make this new Daredevil series dark, because yes, there's some brutality on this, some pretty extreme brutality in a couple of things, but when you contrast that with what was there before from the previous showrunners, the tone is so different. It does kind of clash with one another. Like, for example, there's one, this is a mild spoiler, but I mean, at this point, most trades would have referenced it by now. There is one episode where Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, her dad, is featured in one episode where Daredevil is in the middle of a bank heist and he interacts with Kamala Khan's dad. And that's seemingly to to bring in, keep the door open for Miss Marvel. Because I mean, she's in New Jersey and Daredevil's in New York. You would think that they could probably meet up at some point. But in this world, I really don't think that would work very well, where you have Miss Marvel as a bright and colorful superhero, and you have Daredevil where, blood splattering everywhere. That would just not mix. And the fact that they were trying to keep the door open for crossovers while also trying to keep the people happy who were expecting this to basically be Daredevil season 4, that is a hard task to have, and I'm surprised that we got as good as it is in this series. Now, I will say, what worked best in the Netflix series works great here. Charlie Cox is amazing as Matt Murdock and Daredevil. Vincent D'Onofrio is amazing as Wilson Fisk, and their dynamic is, when they're on screen, it works great. The bad part about that is, Daredevil and Kingpin are not on screen together very long. If you've seen the trailer with the two of them sitting in the diner, that's pretty much the only scene where they're actually together in the same room. So I think there were some scheduling conflicts. That's probably why it is that way. But it is. That's not a deal breaker. I mean, Daredevil and Kingpin weren't on the same screen for very long in the original Netflix series, so that's not a surprise on that front. The new characters, however, there is in episode 1 there is a choice made in this season 1 this episode 1 opener where it's pretty much a declaration by the showrunners, like, all right, we're bringing in we're basically, this is kind of a continuation of the Netflix Daredevil series, but from this point on, we're doing our own thing. And, that's a bold choice. I respect it. I wish that, all right, we're charting a new course here. What do you got? My problem is the new characters, they don't really do much, or it feels like not enough time. There's too many subplots where these people are not given enough time to breathe, or not given enough due. There's, for instance, Michael Gandolfini is this, basically up-and-comer sycophant to Mayor Fisk, and he's got some interesting scenes there. He's got some interesting dynamics, but he kind of disappears for large stretches, or he only pops up very briefly for one scene in one episode, and then you don't see him again for the rest of that episode. There's also BB Urich, who's the daughter of Ben Urich, the reporter from season 1 of Daredevil. She's got this kind of street podcast journalism kind of thing going on. You see intercuts. She's got video interviews with people on the street, and that's kind of a a flow throughout the entire series, but we don't see her very much, and that's also a thread that they kind of bring up, then kind of pushes aside. There's also Matt's relationship with the therapist, and then there's also his partners at the law firm. There's so many other conversations. They bring back John Bernthal's Punisher, but again, he shows up one episode and then he doesn't show up again for long stretches until pretty much the very end of the season. So with all that, it does feel like there's so many very disparate threads that they were playing with, and maybe they were setting up to visit later. But in this season, it feels like this season just has AD. It doesn't know what to focus on, to this show's detriment. Now, I will say, rewatching all of the all the Netflix seasons up until now, Daredevil 1, 2, and 3, and Defenders. What this season does improve on over the Netflix series is pacing. You don't have the problem of just filler episodes on this. That being said, there are the overarching narrative of Mayor Fisk and what is he doing in New York, with Daredevil concerned about what's going on with Fisk. That whole plot line, it does kind of get sidelined a bunch. It does meander when it is focusing on these, story of the week kind of things. Like I said, that episode with Kamala Khan's dad in the bank heist, that was probably one of my favorite episodes of this season, but it does sideline a lot of the other plots. And I think if this season, if I was going to describe it, like I said, is an admirable salvage job. This is also a step in the right direction. There's promise for what's going forward. Especially by the end, they do set up some interesting things, with characters and a story going into a second season, which I'm pretty sure has been greenlit at this point. They have their direction now. So I feel like this season, it kind of serves like a mulligan. I feel like this is like, all right, you get one, you're kind of starting off, but that's also kind of a half mulligan because, like I said, this is a new series, but it also effectively serves as Daredevil season 4. For those who were fans of the Netflix Daredevil series, I don't think this really fits those kind of expectations for people who are going into this thinking that is going to be pick up right where we left off in season 3, and continue on that track. It's going to be different. And for people who are coming to this fresh, I don't know how much there's going to be for newcomers who aren't as well versed within those Netflix series. So overall, like I said, this feels like a mulligan and an admirable salvage job. I'm going to keep repeating that. So if I was going to give Daredevil Born Again a letter grade, I would say this is a C+. And that's because, this definitely could have been worse than but it also could have been better. And if I were to weigh in Daredevil Born Again on the scale of unoriginality, I would say this weighs in at reworked script. Same puzzle, assembled in a different order. Since pretty much that's exactly what it is, since given all the behind-the-scenes stuff. So, those are your main spoiler-free thoughts on Daredevil Born Again. Now let's get into some spoiler talk as certain plot developments and character arcs that may seem familiar to you and where you may have seen them before. When I do like a whole season, I'm not going to go episode by episode on this. There are plenty of other channels that dive into those kind of things better than I could. This is more just overarching thoughts on the season. Because really, thematically wise, this makes me think a lot of both Spider-Man 2 and The Defenders, in that the hero, the hero being Daredevil, he essentially gives up being Daredevil, and we spend a lot of time with Matt Murdock basically like, no, I can't be Daredevil, I can't be Daredevil, but I'm going to be Daredevil. We're all expecting him to become Daredevil again, and yes, he does, kick butt, several times throughout the series, but we have him donning the Daredevil suit in the opening and the last episode, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is him just being Matt Murdock, and when you're waiting that whole time for him to become Daredevil again, it feels almost like wasted time. The fact that it doesn't feel like wasted time nearly as much as it could is all down to how compelling Charlie Cox is as Matt Murdock. He really nails the performance and is able to sell the conflict within to the audience. I think he does a great job. He's always done a great job with this role, and I'm really glad that we get to see more of him as Daredevil in this. Although I will say that the CGI fight in episode 1, there were some practical shots in there, but the CG when he's fully CGI, you could really tell, especially when he makes his like Spider-Man pose on the rooftop. Like they just reuse like the animations for Spider-Man and just reskin it as Daredevil. It kind of felt like that. But so there's that, and lastly, the fact that this season ends with the resistance to Mayor Fisk's decree of martial law. It makes me think of Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, just because that's another resistance being planned in a bar to a authoritative regime. So. I'm sure there are other examples of that's just the thought that popped into my head when that image appeared on screen. I'm sure maybe other people can think of other examples like that. But what did you think of Daredevil Born Again? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What about my analysis? Do you agree, disagree? Did I miss something? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate whatever I can get. Be sure to look for my next movie review, which will be for Thunderbolts, which comes out May the 2nd. And if you like this video or any other video on my channel, please give me a like, share, and especially subscribe. I would very much appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for watching. Just remember, there is nothing new under the sun. And yes, you have seen it before.